Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to Apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. We're bringing Stephen Mullowney on the line. He is CEO over at TRX Gold, and today's episode is part of our DealFlow Discovery Conference series, where we bring you the best of those that are participating and going to DealFlow Discovery Conference. If you haven't been to that conference or you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out, DealFlowDiscoveryConference.com, and check it out. I've been going for years now. It's a great time, and if you're looking for companies to invest in and or if you have a company that you want to have featured, go check out that website and you'll find out exactly how to participate. So next thing, Stephen, welcome to the show. Good to have you here.
No, it's great to be here today, Adam, and I look forward to going to the conference mid-month.
All right. So, and those dates are January 28th and 29th in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So, Stephen, we're going to start this episode the way that we start them all with what we like to call our Mission Matters Minute. So, Stephen, at Mission Matters, our aim and our goal is to amplify stories for entrepreneurs, for executives, for experts. That's what we do. Stephen, what mission matters to you?
The mission that matters to us is we're operating and growing the Buck Reef Gold Project, and we want to make sure that we set it up for long-term success for both shareholders and the local community and the national citizens of Tanzania, because we're located in Tanzania, Africa. That means shareholders get a return and a good share price, and the local communities continue to grow and get jobs and appropriately rewarded as well.
Fantastic. Love bringing mission-based people on the line to share why they're doing what they're doing, how they're doing it, really what we can all learn from that so we can all benefit together. So great to have you here. All right, so I definitely want to get into what you're doing at the Buck Reef Gold Project and what that looks like and go do a deep dive into it. But before we do, I'm curious, how'd you get into the business? Like, how'd you get into mining? Like, where'd all that start for you?
That's a very good question. And I can tell you, I started off as an accountant, then became
That's an
a,
obvious transition, Stephen. No.
then I was a portfolio manager in one of Canada's largest insurance companies, an investment banker. And that's where I started to dip my toe into resources, both oil and gas and into mining. And then I led for around 13 years or so the PwC or Price Waterhouse's deals mining practice, did a lot of global work there. And one of my clients was TRX that need a lot of help. And it did need a lot of help. And that was over 5 years ago when I took on this role. And ever since it was a turnaround, now it's a growth story and continues
Mm.
to grow and will continue to grow going further. So it's been an interesting ride.
Yeah. What do you enjoy about this sector specifically, whether it's the working with the investors, the crew, the company, like what do you enjoy? Like what motivates you about this? Obviously, with your skill set, there's a lot of things you could have did.
Yeah. So I think what really, one of the core attributes that I think I have is I like to learn and I'm curious.
Hmm.
And every resource is the way it's set up, its profile is different, although there are some commonalities in it.
Yeah.
And so in this particular role, we've grew a business. So when I joined, there's probably 15 people around. Today, there's 800
Yeah.
employees and
Yeah.
contractors around. And that's really done in the last 3 years. So it's a lot of growth. So in that type of role, it's not only about approaching investors, it's figuring out a business plan that's going to create a lot of cash flow, which means a higher share price to higher the cash flow. That's the way I look at things.
Hmm.
And then it's also making sure that the share count isn't blown out of the water like a lot of companies in the mining industry, because it's great you grew cash flow, but if it's divided
Yeah.
by a much larger denominator, then you haven't grown share price.
Hmm.
So when I got in, we only had $2 million of capital, so we needed a lot more than that to grow the business. But we haven't issued equity in well over 4 years
Wow.
in that, and views internally generated cash flow now to continue to grow the business. And then there's you know, yes, there's profit orientation, and that's very important return to shareholders, but there's a lot of what I'll call ancillary benefits that come to local communities and people. So, in order to have your social license and things of that nature, you do build schools, you do build healthcare
Hmm.
facilities, you do hire local people that now have long-term jobs, just like you and I, and
Yeah.
opportunity, particularly in what I'll call more rural parts of the world. And seeing that grow, seeing the housing stock improve,
Hmm.
roads improve in the region, people being happy to come to work, that's all very
Okay.
rewarding from a personal perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. I normally like to work in one, at least like what I like to call a pay it forward a question, Stephen. So I'll use this opportunity to do that. So for the next generation of people that want to be in this industry, maybe they, and the younger generation, let's say, that's just getting started. If
Yeah.
they want to break into the industry, like what would you suggest?
Yeah, so there's a lot of engineers and geologists in this industry. I'm an accountant, so there's many routes to the industry. What I would say is, there's a lot of younger people now are kind of enamored by the tech industry and
Hmm.
biotech. And what I'll say is more sexier, non-traditional type
Yeah.
of industries. Mining is a traditional industry, but there's a lot of good factors that people like. If you like to travel, you
Hmm.
like to go to rural spots in this world and meet lots of new people, it's a very good industry to be in. I've traveled all over the world. So I've
Yeah.
been in all four corners of the world. I've been in very interesting situations. I've had deep fried crickets in Indonesia, and half embryoed eggs in China. I've been in nice sushi restaurants in Tokyo. So
Hmm.
you get to do that in this particular industry that you may not get to do in other industries.
Amazing. I love it. You didn't have me on the crickets, but the Tokyo, you had me on that one and some other one.
Yeah, the crickets are very good though. I was very pleasantly surprised. So
I
again,
bet they
I'm
are
a curious
actually.
person. I'm a curious person by nature, and part of that curiosity is trying different foods, and sometimes you will
Hmm.
get surprised. Sometimes some of them are bad. I didn't like deep fried pigeon.
Okay. Oh, it's great. So switching it up a bit here, I want to get into the Buck Reef Gold Project. So how do you want to tee this up?
Yeah, so the Buck Reef Gold Project is in Tanzania, as I mentioned. It's in a
Hmm.
region that has a lot of mining activity. AngloGold's largest mine is there in Gaeta, about 30 kilometers away from us. Barrick has a couple of large mines in Bulyanhulu in North Mara.
Hmm.
And Perseus Mining is now developing a $500 million project and the Naiwanzaga project that's about 30 kilometers from us as well. So we're a smaller producer, which is growing. So we're doing a run rate over 30,000 ounces roughly now
Hmm.
at a low cash cost, and that cash cost is being put back into the asset to continually develop it to a larger processing plant, which will then create more cash flow from a larger mine output.
Hmm.
And so the goal here is to get the study that we put out was 62,000 ounces over 18 years.
Hmm.
I'm hopeful to have a lot more ounces out of the ground per year and a lot more resources found over time for a much larger project.
Hmm.
And that project still, though, is given the low cash cost, the project that we put out that I just described
Hmm.
still has a $2 billion NAV at $4,000 gold, and we're at 4,500 today.
Hmm. I'm trying to fathom this. Obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but I've never grown a gold operation or a mining company. So what does it look like? And you gave me some numbers just now, but when it comes to long-term scalable production growth, like what does that look like? Like what can that look like?
So we did three expansions in the last 3 years. So we moved from
Wow.
basically a small operation of 360 tons per day to 1,000 tons a day,
Hmm.
1,000 tons a day.
It's like
Obviously,
navigating a ship that's moving fast or a train. I don't know. Continue. I'm just trying to
yeah.
imagine.
And so in mining, it's all about, tons processed times grade times recovery. So
Hmm.
part of it is, so the goal here is to get higher grade ore out of your pit,
Hmm.
um, and get as much as that through the mill as possible. Right
Yeah.
now, we have a bottleneck in the mill. Our stockpile's building up. And we're going to expand that mill from 2,000 tons a day
Hmm.
to around, I would do the last press release that we put out on this was it would be around 3,000 plus the 1,000 or 4,000 tons a day. I
Hmm.
can say now that it will be
Yeah.
more than that again, which again, if you could have the same grade profile, you'll get double the ounces out of there, which then will
Hmm.
get us to those 60,000 ounces plus that I mentioned. And I hope that goes a lot higher.
Hmm.
So that's the ultimate goal of doing it. And then behind that, obviously, you got to mine. So we have
Hmm.
3 years open pit, followed by 15 years underground. But our best drill hole results aren't on our Buck Reef main zone, which has 1.5 million ounces right now at two and a
Hmm.
half grams a ton, which is a good grade for our mining operation. And so once we put the drill back in, we'll finish our magnetic study, geophysics
Hmm.
study. And now we're going to move that into putting the drill bit back into the ground and start drilling out the parts of this property that appear to have higher grades, hopefully to find more gold at higher grade that actually increases production further, as well
Mm.
as the mine life extension.
Now, as you increase this production capacity, and really the entire pipeline there, how do you leverage operational improvements? Like, what does that look like or can you, like, to get better?
Yeah, you can because look, right now I described there's like 800 employees and contractors.
Hmm.
To double the plant, it's not going to 1,600. So you're
Yeah.
going to get some economies of scale. Of that, your higher throughput, all your overhead costs as well get absorbed.
Mm.
You will put in place more efficient motors and pumps and things like that. So the new circuit's going to have less pieces to it. So
Mm.
that will mean more than likely less downtime, higher throughput, those sort of things. And then on the mining
Hmm.
side, you can constantly continue to look at economies of scale on that
Yeah.
in order to drive those costs down as well. There are some costs that you're a price taker on, such as fuel. But right now, in the way the world's going, fuel costs are quite reasonable as well.
Hmm. I'm trying to see like the next steps as you're scaling over the next couple of years as this increases. How does your communication with shareholders and investors, like, how does that look as that continues, as the company continues to grow? And maybe talk a little bit about the importance of it and transparency.
Yeah, so I like to operate. Look, we're in a world today that is much different than a lot of people grew up in, particularly the baby boomers and
Yeah.
people. And the fact that we have phones and videos and everything's recorded.
Hmm.
So we operate as an open book. So there's nothing that we don't have disclosed, for
Hmm.
instance. So I think that's always important. And look, I come from what I'll call the school of EBITDA or cash flow growth.
Yeah.
So I'm more focused on sheer cash flow than I am on sheer ounces.
Mm.
If an ounce can't be produced profitably, then leave it for a better
Mm.
time and when there's a higher price. But you want to make sure that you're able to consistently increase cash flow. If someone told me that I could produce 100,000 ounces at or 75,000 ounces, you would assume that 100,000 is better. Not
Mm.
in this industry. It may
Mm.
not be. The 75,000 ounces may give you more cash flow. So which one is
Mm.
a better outcome?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think being consistent on, this industry, you're a price taker on your actual output. So
Hmm.
what you need to do is consistently drive costs as low as possible. And when you look at costs, you're looking at it on a per ton basis because grade is something that you're inherently trying to maximize, but
Yeah.
you have to accept that going through your mill. So if you have 2 grams a ton or 3 grams a ton going through your mill, it costs the same to process it.
Mm.
But one gives you almost, 50% more gold.
Hmm.
Right? So, or more profit. So
Yeah.
the whole balance in that equation, setting up your mine models as well. So compliance to plan, a mine plan is an extremely important concept in this industry as well.
Hmm. So, for everybody that's listening, on January 7th, 2026, Stephen, I'm still allowed. We're early enough to the new year. So, we just hit
Yeah.
2026. You gave me some plans for the year. What's on your mind as we get it going to this new year?
One thing is to be in this particular industry,
Mhm.
like I said, you are a price taker. I think
Yeah.
the outlook for gold is still very, very strong. We still have Western economies printing money, whether it's in the US for tax cuts or
Hmm.
whether it's in Europe, for instance, for social programs. End result is an increase in fiat, which means higher gold price. And gold price is a predictor of future inflation as well. So I think the
Hmm.
underpinnings, I consider that the very good underpinnings for the gold price. And then you have, we won't get into this, the geopolitical situation,
Yeah.
some very tasty gravy on top of what I described.
Mm.
And so I think the underpinnings to the gold market are good. And then for us, it's to continually have our head down, to get our plant expansion done, get the drill bit in the ground, and expand the resource. So I want to expand production and resource at the same time and get that really moving this year. The gold price of $4,500 is a good tailwind to get that going. We do our models
Mm.
at a much, much lower gold price to make sure we keep a focus on cost.
Yeah. Stephen, it's been great having you on the show today. How do people follow up? How do they learn more about TRX Gold?
You can go to our website, www.trxgold.com, or you can contact us through our IR department, ir@trxgold.com email address.
Fantastic. And for everybody listening, just so you know, we'll of course put some of those links in the show notes so you can just click on the links and head right on over and check out TRX Gold. And also we'll have a link there into the DealFlow Discovery Conference, where that's again taking place on January 28th and 29th at the Borgata in Atlantic City, New Jersey. TRX Gold will be at the conference, so you can meet them there and also have a conversation there as well. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe or follow button. This is a daily show. You heard me correct. It's a daily show. Each and every day, we're putting out new content, new ideas, new interviews, and hopefully new inspiration to help you along the way in your journey as well. So, again, hit that subscribe or follow button. And Stephen, thanks for coming on and wishing you a great rest of your 2026 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adam. It was great to be here.